Hello, I'm Carol at Mainly Pilates, but I'm also doing a few DIY jobs, and some of you guys and girls liked my washing machine fixing, so I thought I'd show you that I'm having a go at making a headboard. I've only just decided to start filming, so I've missed the very beginning, but here we go. So I bought a piece of 8x4 wood. I cut it so it's now 6x3, and I've decided on my design. Oh sorry, I've rounded the corners, if you can see here, just using a jigsaw and then sanding it. And then I've decided on my design, so I've measured it carefully and I've made 12 rectangles all the same size, and I've marked a dot here, 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 there, there. So 2, 4, 6. And what I'm going to do is do some buttoning. I don't want deep buttoning like in a Chesterfield, but I want some buttoning for some relief. So that's my markings. And the next thing I've got to do is drill some holes here in those 6 where the buttons are going to go. Because what I will have to do is come up from the back, come up, grab the button, take it back down. But I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so I can't work outside because it's absolutely throwing it down. So I've got my drill here. I've lifted it off the floor so I don't accidentally go through the carpet, of course. And I've got a number 3 drill bit for masonry here. Start it really slowly. If you don't start it slowly, then it slips. So now I'll just do one more to show you. Now I've just got some sandpaper, and although you can't see it, I am sanding over the backs of the holes as well. So my next job is to spray and glue the foam onto the board. So before I do that, look, I'm inside. I've got to really protect the carpet very, very well. So I'm putting paper down. So here's my foam. It is 2 inches thick, and I asked for it to be 6 foot by 4 foot, which was a mistake. I need 6 foot by 3 foot. So that's very annoying because I've paid a lot extra for it. But anyway, so here's the foam. So I just want it slightly hanging over each edge. And obviously now I've got to cut some off, haven't I? Where I just drilled, so there could be dust, so the glue won't hold. So I'm just wiping it over with the faintest of damp. So I've laid the board correct side up. Okay, so I've got all my paper down, and I've got my friends helping me. So if you look now, I've put the foam on the floor and I've put the board on top, and if you see, I've got a border of foam all the way around. The reason I've done this is because the fabric is going to be on the face, which is under here, and it's going to pull over, and I don't want any sharp edges, so I want the foam to come over the sharp edge. So if I pull that with my hand, I hope you can see that this is now covering that sharp edge. Same there, and I'm going to make that the same all the way around. If you look here, when this folds over with the fabric tight on it, then you won't have any sharp edges. So I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to mark it. Now if I look, I've got my tape measure, and it's just like, really it's 2 tape measures away. So I'm going to make sure it's the same at that end. Bear with me. So I'm happy that I've got the foam in the right place. I don't need to cut that side because I know that that's the side and it's the right width. don't need to cut the top because it's the right width. You need to cut the bottom because this is the edge that will go on against the wall but towards the floor. It's the bottom edge. So I don't need any of this. So I'm just going to mark a line there for cutting, and then I'm going to mark a line here that is the same as that and the other end, which is here. The best thing you need, you've got to have a straight rule, got to. And if you can see here, don't forget to mark the rounded corners as well. So here's a rounded corner, I'm just freehand drawing that, and I'll do the same the other side. Two reasons: one, obviously it's got to go around the corner, but secondly, I'll know which is up and which is the top and which is the bottom. Now you can see all the markings. Now, I've only ever made one headboard before, and it was about 25 years ago. Why I'm doing this, I'm just showing you that anybody can do this if you're methodical and you put your, you look on YouTube and you ask your friends or whatever. So I do know that the best way to cut foam is with an electric carving knife. So we have one of those. That's what I'm going to do. So I don't know if you can see, but this isn't brilliantly straight. It's quite wonky, in fact, but it doesn't matter. It's completely not on show, and it just means it can be squeezed in like that. Okay, so I've cut the bottom off, cut the end off, I've cut the corners. There's my rubbish. Now the only other thing I'm going to do, as I said to you before, this is going against the actual bed. It's going to be squeezed up against it, and it's out of sight, so I'm going to chamfer it, which I think chamfer means cut the corner off like that. I'm just going to do that all the way along. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be dead accurate because this is completely out of sight and it's behind the bed. Okay, now this is what I'm using. Rapid, that's great. And the instructions say, obviously test it on an inconspicuous area first, so I will just nip outside in the dark and test it. And then you spray it from 15 to 20 centimetres away. Now make a note of what that is. This is 15 to 20 centimetres. Normally you're moving right on in on it. If you want a permanent fix, you apply it to both sides, so therefore to the sponge and the wood. But if you were actually wanting a temporary fix, you would just spray it to one side. And then you wait for 30 seconds just to get tacky, and then you join them. Okay, we're checking a few things. This is definitely the front of the board, which faces down the bed, and this is the pretty side. So I've definitely got that up. That is that's the back of the sponge, which needs to go on there. So I know I'm gluing that and that. And I think I just need to make sure the kitten is out of the room. Okay, then here we go. Yikes. So, hang on, just thought of something. Let's just do this. Oh, look at that. Now spray this. Oh, shake it. Oh yeah. Now, very quickly I need to lie this down on here. Bear in mind, I know that that's got to be level. Simon? 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 Have a hand really quickly. Quick, for two reasons. Make sure the cat doesn't come in. Oh shit, he's in. Fuck. Ooh. Can you just have that a sec, quick? He's just... Right, so, that was a bit of a drama. Anyway, so it takes two people to lay something that big, clearly. So I'm happy with that, and I'm just going to leave that there now overnight. So sorry about that little problem. That was a bit panicky, wasn't it? Just before I put it all away tonight, I'm just going to show you what I'm going to try, because a headboard, your head rubs against the headboard and might leave a greasy mark. So this is a universal protector, and it protects against water and stains, and it's suitable for blah, 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 and fabrics. So of course I would test it first. So again, what have we got to do? Shake well, spray evenly from a distance of 10 to 15 centimetres. Droplets are seen on the fabric. Rub over lightly with a clean cloth to ensure penetration. Do not allow rain or dew to come into contact with the fabric until completely dry. So here we go, I'm going to give this a try on here. This is just a bit of scrap material that the front of the headboard is going to be made out of. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm testing that it's not spoiling the fabric, discolouring it. So I'll leave that there to dry overnight and then we'll see how we go. Yeah, so it just goes to show that I'm not a professional. I don't have a workroom. I don't have all the kit. I am making this up as I go along, but I hope it helps you. So we bought the wadding here, which is going to go on top. And after yesterday's disaster with the glue and the kitten, I've got a friend to come and help me. Right, so here we go. We're just testing it for size. And all I want is it hanging all the way over like that. Yeah, so that fits perfectly. The purpose of this is to stop the fabric sticking to the foam and creasing, and it gives it a nice softness. Last night, if you remember, I sprayed this with the fabric protector. It's got crease because the kitten keeps running on it. I'm just going to test it. So I've got some newspaper down here so I don't wet the carpet, and I'm just going to pour some water on. Let's see what happens. Oh, see, yes, it's going in a tiny bit, but most of it, can you see from the side, ran in a bubble and ran off it. So that's good, but what that's told me is I'm actually going to do 2 coats. So it hasn't changed colour at all, and it has, yeah, so what I'm actually going to do is do 2 coats of that fabric protector on here when the fabric's on. So this is the bit where I just put the water on, you can see. So I'm just going to spray another coat on and miss that bit out because this is scrap fabric. Scissors.
So we cut that up to there, and just below that line there, just takes away all the bulk of the excess wadding.
There, please.
Same with that one.
Good scissors, aren't they? New ones.
Lovely. And you fold that like that.
So then I just will cut all this excess away. Yeah, but just check it's smooth. So if you remember, this is my headboard, and I had 12 squares marked on there. Now those squares are very important for me because you will see when I put my fabric on the front that it's also in 12 squares. Yours doesn't need to be. It could be plain fabric and it'd be much more simple, but mine is quite critical. So I feel I need to mark where those 12 squares join, because I need to put the buttons in the exact spot. So the way I'm going to do this, see this great big needle? This is what I use anyway to make the buttons, or to get the buttons on, but I'm actually going to use it like a tailor's tack, if you like, to mark where the holes are. So I thread that all the way through. So now this is like a tail here, which is not how I will make the buttons, but that's a marker for me to see where I need the buttons to be, and the cross points in the fabric. So yours won't need to be quite as accurate if you've got a single sheet on the front. So there's one more to do. I have done all the others, so thread that through, and now if you look here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where my buttons are going to go. So here is my facing fabric. Perhaps that way around will show you better. So what I've done, it is corduroy. I have made it a bit difficult for myself, I realise that. So I've got the corduroy going in different directions for each square. So when it's on the bed as the headboard, it'll look like different colours. But that's only because the cord has a nap on it and it has a different colour depending on which way it's running. So I've got it going at 45 degrees to each other. So you see now why these points here, these 6 points are so important. They've got to be over those holes that I've drilled. So I've laid the fabric on the face, and I presume now you can see the different colours even though it's the same fabric. What I've got to do now is line these corners, all these points here, up with the thread that's come through. Right, so I need to line these points up with this string. So here's one. Find the piece of string, thread the needle, find the middle of the point, which is take it through to that cross, which is there. So I'm pulling that through and let go of the needle. So now you can see that I know that that fabric there is lined up in the right place for the button, and then I'm going to hook it back on there. Now at the moment this is all going to be folded over, so I know we're okay on that.
How safe do you feel?
Okay, so I'm going to show you again how to thread the needle. So I've got this thread going all the way through from the back,
safe care all of the time, and that's really shocking.
and coming through here,
3,000 more midwives.
and then
Recruitment comes a call for
find the little
cultural
point
change,
of the cross
openness to publish all
and
seamless maternity
pull it
incidents,
through.
to share learning and ensure lasting improvement. Emma Thomas, BBC
Okay.
Midlands Today.
Now that shows me exactly where that has to be.
It's currently 0-0. We'll bring you highlights from
So I know that's in the right place. So I'm just going to loosely pin that here for now. Right, so now I want to make the buttons, and I want to use the same fabric. So this is the same corduroy, and you buy these little buttons. They're £3.60 for 3 for this size. And but luckily I have access, and I've been allowed to borrow this machine, so why make them by hand? Look at YouTube if you want to know how to do them by hand, but I've got a machine. So here we go. I've got the circle of fabric cut. I've put a button back in there, button front in the top, face of the button on there, push down with the dowel and lift up. Oh, that's not going to move. There we are, lift up. So now that looks like that. Turn it upside down, put it on the machine and give it a good push. Take it out and look what we have. Super duper. So what I think I'm going to do is make an extra one, but just in case, you never know, because I won't have this access to the machine again. So there are my 6 buttons already. Okay, so what I've got to do now, I've actually done 4 of the buttonholes. I'll show you how to do this one. So you take the needle with the cord in it, and you take it all the way through. And if you notice, I've got this hanging off the edge of the table so I don't damage the table. And then normally it doesn't matter where it goes through the face fabric of your headboard, but if you remember, I've got the square, so I've got to be very accurate. So this has to go down here and through the crossover where the squares join, which is a bit of a bugger, gotta say. Bear with me. Okay, so just pin this out of the way a moment so you can see. I can see perfectly well. So there we are, the needles come through, and now I get my little button and I thread it on like that, and then I thread it back through the needle like that. So now I can pull it back up. There we are. So now what I need to do is pull it as tight as I want it. So I don't want it baggy like that. I want it about like that. So on the top, on the bit you can't see, So I pulled this through as tight as I wanted it, and then I stapled it twice, folded it over, keeping it taut, and do it time and time again, so that that never comes undone. And this is what it looks like from the top, but don't forget this is always hidden. Right, so now I just want to have a look before I do any more stapling of what's going on. I'm sure I can do this on my own. Yep. Oh, that looks nice, you see. So, can you see my buttons? Now this is the bottom, that's the top edge. So what I've got to do now is I've got to smooth the fabric and give it a pull, and then pull it and staple it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a few, check it. So I've got my lines here in line with my seams. So give it a nice tug and do that. It's going. Right, let's have a little look again. Quite heavy. So, that's looking good, isn't it? So you see where this is going now. Quite happy with that. So now I'm doing the ends, and I'm just lifting it up to check that it's okay. And it's lovely and smooth. So I've been pulling it, pushing it over and stapling it. Okay, so I do that all the way around. Okay, so as you can see, I have been all the way around, and I've put masses and masses and masses of staples all the way around. I've got all this like fuzzy stuff left, which I am actually going to just trim off. So the next thing I've got to do is put the legs on, but I also have to make the backing, and it's easier to make the backing without the legs on. So I'm going to cut the backing to size using this as the template, and then put the legs on, and then put the backing on. I suppose one thing, just before I do put the back on, I just need to check the front, and I'm actually quite happy with that. Okay, so what I've done is just put, this is ordinary lining, and I have a pen. Oh, this is even funnier. Look at the little kitten underneath the bag. Yeah, he's trouble. So if you have a little look at this, this is a brilliant marker pen, because you can mark on here, and then on the end is a rubber which genuinely rubs it off, but even better, when you iron it, the heat gets rid of the mark. So anyway, here we go, look. Laying this on top, turning it under like that, just to make sure it covers any staples and any of the rough stuff. Really just cover any mess, and then get the staple gun again. Now if you wanted to, you could use very pretty tacks. I don't need to use pretty tacks because I'm not a professional upholsterer. I'm doing this just for me, my house. So here we go, so I'm going to go all the way along there, then I'll cut it, turn it under, leave the bottom loose. I'm just going to cut along here, just leave about, I don't know, what have I got there, a couple of inches under, to give me room to turn it under. So this is the bed all wrapped up, just to keep it clean. And if you see close up at the head end, we've got these two nuts, and we have the same on the other side. So what you've got to do is accurately measure where those are. And these are the headboard stands. So these grooves fit over there like that and slide down, and then these screw holes fix onto your headboard. So the way I worked out where to put these battens, I measured the bed as you saw, and I said that these were 30 inches from the centre. So if I measure this headboard, it is 185 centimetres. So half of that is 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 91, 92 and a half. So I go back to 92 and a half, which is here, and I mark it, which actually, look, is funny enough where my seam is. And then I'm going to go 30 inches either side. So 30 inches is there, and 30 inches the other side is there. So these two need to go there and the other one there. Now I also worked out that the bottom I checked on my old bed, sorry, the old headboard, and that was level with that. I'm lining that up with that and putting that in the middle, which is 30 inches from the centre, so it will fit. And then I need something very thin to draw in there to mark it. There we are. So these are the stupid things I've got to do, which the hubster has told me is a clench nut, and I have to drill a hole in there that size, hammer it in, and then that will go into it. So obviously I've got to drill into here without damaging the front, which is going to be an issue. Okay, so this is it. I'm going to bash them in now. Yeah. So I'm going to put those in there for now, so I don't lose them. So it might be me being bonkers, but these holes are not big enough for those bolts, so I've had to make those bigger as well. It's a bit of a ball ache. There we are. There's those screwed in place. Obviously I'll tighten them, and then I'll do the other side. And then tighten them up with a screwdriver. There you go. Lovely job. So here we go, we're on the home straight now. I had a bit of difficulty with these. I bought these for £10 each, and you're given these special grippy things to go in. Anyway, they didn't stay in. So I had an and an about it, and I decided to glue them in place first. And now I've added glue under here as well. So it's not brilliant, but it is firm. So I will tell you what I bought, unfortunately. It's called No Nails Click, and I will show you. So I did this one on my own, and now I'm going to do the final one and show you. So can you see that I've glued these in? I don't know how close you are there. Let's have a look. Can you see these are glued in with this clicky thing? And now I'm going to put the other leg on. So you take the end off like that. Apparently there's 20 clicks in here. And if you see, you click it down and you get a blob. You see that? A blob of glue. So, need to stick this on first. Well, I haven't really, rather. So this is going to go on here. Got my screws ready. Got my screwdriver ready. I'm not going to waste that blob of glue, I'm going to use it. So I'm going to put that on the hole. There we are. And then I'm going to put some more blobs of glue. Click, click, click. How far down can I go? Click. And then I'm going to do a big blob on the hole again. Got my glue on. Line up the holes very carefully. And then stick the screw through. There we are. Now I'm going to leave that for probably, well, definitely till tonight, and let it do its work. Finally, we're on the last bit now, look. So, I've done my legs, and now we just pull this nice and taut, fold it under, hide all the mess, and staple it. And we staple it all the way around. There was one more thing actually. These are door stops, you know, you put them on the door to stop the door banging. Put them on here, one on there, one on the far side to stop the headboard banging. Could be embarrassing. And here it is, the finished article in place.